Hello everyone, and thanks for stopping by to Scrap and Craft with Terry. Today we're going to do an easy folio with just some pockets and tags. So we're going to go ahead and get started. If you like my video, I just ask that you give me a thumbs up and check out my other ones. Now we're starting out with a piece of 8.5 by 11. It's just single-sided single-sided scrapbook paper. And we're going to do some scoring on it. Now this comes from a 12 by 12 sheet, so I just cut it to size. So we're going to score at, try to make sure I have it right here. We're going to score at, excuse me, 3 inches. And 7 inches. Then we're going to turn it to the right, and this is directional paper, so I have to make sure it's going the right way. We're going to turn it to the right and score at 3 inches. And that's all we need our scoreboard for. And so that was easy enough. Then we're going to fold on our score lines. That's not folding down very easily. There we go. Then we'll fold over. And fold. Okay, make sure it's even when you're folding, which that wasn't. Okay, now I can ink in here so you can see my score lines. And let me see, do I want to ink in green? Do I want to ink in my brown? Not real sure. Now, if you have double-sided paper, this would work very good. Mine is only single-sided, so I'm going to be putting mats on mine. Thought about just doing like a stencil or going over it with just my ink to cover up the background. But I decided that I was gonna just go ahead and put mats on it. So that's what we're doing. Now I saw this on Pink Monarch prints, and I really liked the way the folio turned out. And so I thought we would give it a whirl today. Okay, well, let me ink the outside also. And as you know, I generally don't like doing my inking on camera, but I decided that I wasn't going to ink anything before I started because I didn't want to make any cuts in advance. or anything like that. So if you don't want to watch me ink, all you have to do is fast forward it. Okay. Now, on this little corner right here, we're going to cut this out. And I want to make for sure that I cut on this side of my line and this side of my line to cut that line out of there. And then this piece here, I'm going to save. Okay, so we'll save that. Then, excuse me, I got a frog in my throat all of a sudden. We're going to fold this down just before our score line. So this is an easy folio, and that's good because we like easy. And then I'm going to cut this off. And then save this piece here. Now on the inside, probably what I should have done first was to go ahead and mat it. And I didn't. So I'll just have to cut this piece here off. So I'll just be folding this back and cutting it off. Let's see here. I can just use this to kind of measure. Yeah, I'll do that. Kind of getting ahead of myself. Which is why, excuse me, it would be easier if, you know, if you was using double-sided paper. But you work with what you have. So we're just going to do that. And then that'll be my mat for that side. Excuse me. That's terrible. So let me just ink this. Now, I didn't, oh, I'm going to have this full length. I didn't do these full length because I'm going to have pockets. So these are going to fold up over top of these back mats, but I'm going to have to cut another one because this one has to be full length. Hang on. There, good thing I had more of this paper. That's what I get for not thinking right. I didn't make one of these in advance. And kept referring back to her video, trying to keep up with what I was supposed to be doing, but she was using double-sided paper. So, but anyway, well, you know, you just pick yourself up and move on. And that's what we're doing. So how's everyone doing today? Hopefully everyone is having a nice day. A nice fall day. We've had had some pretty cool temperatures, but it's really pretty outside. Now I want to just go ahead and ink the outside real quick. Okay, now this is just, you know, not very heavy scrapbooking paper, but when I add the other pieces to it, it's gonna give it a little bit more stability. Yep, turn it right side. So I'm just gonna go ahead and glue my mats down. Now, like I say, I only cut these so they're just below my pocket, because there's no sense wasting paper down in here. You're not going to see it. And that's why I had all 3 pieces cut. So don't do the same thing that I did and cut all 3 of them short. And then we're going to glue this one. Now, I might not have had to have made this longer, because I think this is going to be either under a pocket or over one of them, but we won't take that chance. We'll see when we get it done. And then if I didn't have to cut this all the way, then I would have done it right to begin with. But that's okay. We don't mind. Yeah, this is going to be inside the pocket. I hope I didn't do this wrong. This is my outside. These are my pockets. This is going to fold over, and that's going to fold over. I think I did it right. Maybe mine is, I don't think mine is backwards to hers. Even if it's backwards to hers, it doesn't matter. This is our project. All right, now I'm going to cut on each side of this pocket. We're not going to cut these off. We're just going to trim between them so they have a little bit of space and they won't bind. And then we'll just snip this off. Now I want to round my corners on my pockets. Now you can or you don't have to. Completely up to you. I like my corners on my pockets rounded. And we'll just touch this up. Wasn't sure if I wanted to ink with green because I was using green, or if I wanted to do the brown, but we started out with the brown. So, and I'm using Coffee by Archival Ink. I just ink the outside of this a little tiny bit right here. Doesn't have to be a lot, unless you want it to be a lot. Okay. Now, we're going to fold this over, and I really do think that mine is backwards to hers, but because she had double-sided paper, so she was folding this back over here, but I can't do that because my pockets aren't finished. So if you have double-sided paper, it might turn out better. But we're going to take this edge and just glue along the bottom. Fold this over. Make sure that this doesn't bind. And we're only going to glue right there. Then we're going to do both sides of this pocket. And fold this up. Make sure we didn't go over the edge there. Then we're going to glue this pocket up. And we have our little folio. And this is just not even. Maybe I just didn't have it scored good enough. Now, if you want these outside corners rounded, you can round them. Let me just try to trim this off just a little tiny bit more. There we go. Okay, now the pieces that you cut off, you would normally use inside here, but I didn't want the same. I didn't want to use the same ones because I wanted it to, you know, be coordinated. If you know what I'm talking about. I wanted it to be like what would be the inside piece I want on the pocket. Let me see which one of these fits so I can use it as a pattern. So I'm going to cut it. I'm going to cut this one. This is one that I cut off of something. This one's upside down, so I don't want to use this one. So I'm just going to cut this at an angle. Hopefully I'm not losing you as to what I'm doing. And then this is rounded up here, so I'm going to round this. So I'm just using other scrap pieces of paper now. And I want to put an angled pocket in here, and hopefully I'm on the camera. So I'm just going to glue this down in this. So the pieces that I said you would keep and use would be like, if you can use them same pieces for the inside of your pocket, and if you have double-sided paper, well, then you would turn it over and use the other side, which would work fabulously. But I didn't have that, so I cut other pieces of paper. So like this was what I cut off of this angle, and that would have normally went there. If it would have been a double-sided, it would have just turned over. This is what I cut off of the bottom of this little one, so I would have just turned it over and used the other side. but I couldn't do that. I could have, but I didn't want to. So I'm going to cut this one as a little pocket. So I can have a little pocket over here. So doing it without double-sided paper, doing it with single-sided paper, you're going to use or have more scraps. But you can keep all of this stuff for pockets on other projects. So that's not a problem. So now this, I made sure I cut it so the pattern was going up and down. So I want to round these corners because I like my corners rounded. And then I'm going to cut a little thumb notch right in here. Yeah, I don't want that one. And then I'll just, stuck that in there without inking it. See how I am not paying attention to what I'm supposed to be doing here. And I don't do good at inking this way because I make a mess out of it. But that's okay. Well, anyway, I guess it's okay. All right. So I'm going to ink around this. And how I made the other one a little sloppy, I guess I can make this one a little sloppy. And then I'm just going to put this over here. Do my 3 sides. So when you don't cut your parts wrong, or you have to cut extra pieces if you don't have to do that, then this doesn't take quite so long. I want to round this corner, hopefully. Don't want to get glue. Let me just round it with my scissors. I don't want to get glue up in my punch. Well, that's not right, Terry. Let's try this again. There we go. It's all good. Hopefully I didn't get glue inside of there. Okay. Now, before we add our tags on the front, I'm going to use this as a background mat. And I thought about making this dimensional, but this is just from the scrapbook paper. I could have cut a piece of cardstock to go on the back of it, but I didn't. So I'm just going to glue it on here like this. This is Another Day in Paradise. At the rate I'm going with this project, that's going to be some day in paradise. I have to have bloopers in my videos. We all know this. And this is going in the right direction. So now let me tell you the finished size of this before I forget, and then I'll glue that down. The finished size of this is 4 inches by 5.5. So it's just a nice little folio. And you can stick it in a pocket in your journal. You can put it in your scrapbook. You can put it in your purse. You can fill it up with tags and stuff and give it as a gift to any of your crafter friends. And some of these little folios like this would make cute toppers for the front page of a journal, a small journal, or if you made them bigger for a bigger journal. But that would be cute on the front of it, because then you could open it up and you would just glue it down, or you could glue 3 sides. But that would decorate the outside of your journal. Now we can go ahead and add in some tags. I just grabbed out a bunch of different ones because I wasn't really sure what would fit in what. So these are, most of them are just regular, like a printer weight. Some of them are a little bit bigger. I'm not going to add tops to them or anything like that. You can do that when you get ready to use it. So there's journaling on the back. So that would sit down in there. And I think I had one more of them pulled out. Let me see. Maybe I didn't. I was pretty sure I did. Maybe I picked it up and put it back. And then we have this. And you can journal on the front and the back both. And there's enough room in these that you can have quite a few tags. We have this one. And this is just like, I just picked out a bunch, none of them match. It's just like whatever the tag is. Sometimes it's nice to just grab out a bunch of different ones. Hang on just a second. I wanted another one of these, so I have a long one back here. And these are just all printed or pre-printed freebie printables. So that can go back there. And then let me see, we have this pocket here. So that can go down in there along with maybe something else. This dragonfly postcard, it says beautiful. And that can go down in there also. Then over here we have, let me see if this fits. It does, but I don't think I like that there. We have a little postcard. That can, I think, yeah, that can go down in here. Doesn't matter if it sticks up a little bit. I have this little postcard. It says, in every walk with nature, one receives more than one seeks. And I thought that would be cute in here. So that can go in there. And let me see if I have one more small one for right here. Let's see about this. That can go there. This says colored plates of sweet peas. Oh, how about that? Okay. So that is our little folio, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 9 tags in there. So I think that's pretty good for that folio. What do you think? Let me know down in the comments, and I hope you come back to see me for my next video. And until then, everyone, I hope you have a wonderful day and happy crafting. Bye for now.